The following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going.
So,
Happy.
what's new with you? It's Monday. We had a weekend. I was all over Ohio for the weekend with my reptiles. I don't have an animal today. Sorry, guys.
I found out my board is actually kaput.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no fun when audio equipment goes out on you. Technology.
Nope. I went home for a little bit of a brief vacation, staycation kind of, and I spent some time with the wife and the kids and kind of did the thing, and came back to finding out my board is shot. So going to be calling my favorite rep here real soon.
Yeah, let me guess. Sweetwater?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, you know,
Water
like,
myself.
they're good to me. I can't help it.
All right, I got to turn up my audio. Make sure everybody can hear me okay.
Yeah, so I am stuck to this device, and so hopefully the camera looks good. Hopefully, you know, you can't see my old man wrinkles. I forgot my makeup.
Well, about that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So we got a killer show tonight. This is a little bit different for us, man. We're going to have Mr. No Mansfield on the show tonight, and I'm really, really excited about this.
Me too. I've been listening to their band Revolushn for quite a while, and really digging their stuff, their message. They have got a great message, and they're just a great groove band. You really can get lost in their music, and I definitely admire the path that they've chosen with what they've got going on, and really excited to hear from him, hear what his story is.
Yeah, like it's not every day you get a chance to hear some of this stuff, so I'm excited to spend some time with No tonight. Just hanging out before the show was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a great conversation tonight for sure. So let's bring him on. So here's No Mansfield. Woo woo.
Hello.
Welcome, No. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. I'm good.
Nice. So let's start from the get-go.
Although, there you go. Yeah, it was weird. It was the first time I've been in an accident where I didn't see it coming at all. I mean, you know, kablooey. So it kind of spooked me. But I don't want to talk about that. So, yeah, I'm doing good. We're jamming away over here.
Nice. Grooving.
You guys are in Ohio.
We are. Whereabouts are you?
California.
Nice.
San Francisco. Well,
Ooh.
just outside San Francisco. But that's where we do a lot of shows. You know, it's fun because we've been playing, when the pandemic hit, there was only one place to play in San Francisco. And, oh, darn it, I hit a button I didn't want. There. And it was the farmer's market, you know, and because we would play outside, and the mayor actually mentioned us in an article saying, yeah, we want to try to keep it alive. And these musicians, we couldn't sing, right? We had to wear masks all the time. So we would just jam. And it was really a trip to, fill 2 hours of just instrumentals. But everybody was so happy to hear it. It worked. It was really fun. And now we kept doing it. And now we can, we're back to, we don't have to wear masks when we play. And but another cool thing that happened is all of us bought battery powered amps, right? So now we can go anywhere. And we've been doing these, we did a set, I guess 2 weeks ago, and just set up on the street in Oakland. And it was the funniest thing. People were going by and cheering. And we get tips too. In fact, we got a tip from a homeless guy last week. He gave us a USB cord. He had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You never know when you'll need it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been fun. We're and now the clubs are starting to open oh well, we did another show. It was, oh God, no, I can't remember. I think it was November 3rd. And it was at the band shell in the Golden Gate Park. I think I saw you had a picture of one of it on your site there. But it was really cool. Super nice sound system. You play to these rows of benches that are stuck in the trees, and so it's a very natural setting. And then in the background is a big Ferris wheel, a lighted Ferris wheel. So it was really a sort of a festival type of feel to it. There was maybe 400 or 500 people there, but
Was it this photo here?
no, that's a different show we did. No, you had it on it's the one with the lights, and I'm on stage. It's very cool lights they have. But anyway, I was playing right at the spot that Jimi Hendrix played. Like I was standing on his side of the stage when he played there.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. What a trip.
All right. When you guys sit back and you talk about Revolution and you talk about how long all you guys as a band have been together or doing music independently, what do you think has been the biggest key to your guys' success?
You mean as a band?
Yeah, because, in 2021, like a lot of people are talking about how you have to have different this, different that. But I always keep coming back personally to the old school way of things. I always feel like the old school methods seem to work sometimes better than some of this newfangled methods they try to come up with. And so I was just wondering, what your thoughts on all that was.
I was talking to some musicians the other day. We were having lunch, and they were saying, Jesus, you have to make it in the music, you have to be a fucking t-shirt salesman, It's more important than the music almost these days, because you can use computers to make the music. I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could say Kiss became the best t-shirt salesman in the world, and still they had a pretty good band, So maybe it's not bad, but it's and the internet is great, but it like doesn't mean anything. I think maybe across all the platforms we've got a couple of million views or plays, but it's like, so what? I look on a screen and I see a big number. What does that mean? So what we're trying to do now is we're just going to get back into playing, and with our last single, we've just been targeting colleges and non-commercial radio. Because we've got ourselves a nice tour van now. We were gonna buy a tour bus, but we thought that would be too pretentious, pulling up to a little dive bar with a tour bus, you know. So that I think that's one of the things that's sort of held us together. I mean, Revolution as it is, well, I mean, we've had so many different members, but the core three of us have stayed together for 6 years now. And I think it's the playing live that, you know, because we really, David Kendrick and I, the drummer, we've been playing together and writing together for a long time. And it's so much fun to play with a drummer, like when I'm doing a guitar solo. And I know he's listening because he will copy something I do rhythmically, you know, and then I copy him, and then we end up doing it together. And it's really a trip, really fun. But I think, you know, I don't want to pick any one genre, but I've seen guys, you know, with rings and pictures of Cadillacs and stuff, and talking about how rich they are. And I'm in the business, and I know exactly what kind of money they're making, and they're bullshitting, right? And I don't know that you need that. I think maybe it'll get back to where it really is, the music. I mean, that's one of the things. We released a video recently of our single, but we're not really promoting the video as much as we are to radio, where you don't see the band. All you do is hear the music, you know, and
Yeah.
that's exciting to me that it's, you know, I think we were added to 70 stations last week.
Can I
That-
ask
Yeah,
What-
that's cool to me.
what made you decide to do that route, and what kind of outlook are you looking for with that? That's very interesting, and I think there's some learning here that we can get from you.
Well, I mean, mainly we did it to see how do people respond to just the music, you know, maybe not PR or hype or anything, because we've been through that, or, you know, hiring PR people, and I'm not talking about Jimmy or Eileen, but there's been a lot of people that are just fake it, or that, you know, yeah, you're gonna be a star, kid. And we thought, well, this would be cool if we just go off the music, and then, you know, our plan is to, like, the next little mini tour we're going to do is we're going to hit Bend, Oregon, Spokane, Washington, Seattle, and Portland, because we're getting airplay in all those towns, right? And the idea is we just go with our van and go play little places, and, you know, build fans 5 and 10 at a time. And that to me is, it's more real, for one. Number two is it's more fun, you know. I mean, you get all those experiences of you know, people cheering when you play a song. There's also the experiences of drunks falling into your mic and hitting your face with it and stuff, but you kind of get over that pretty quick. And you remember the stuff you'll remember when you do those kinds of tours is, you know, watching people dance, that you can tell they're into it. And the live experience to me has always been, I mean, I love recording, and I was almost happy when all the music shut down for the pandemic, because then I didn't feel the urge to book bands and, you know, get the band going. I was just stuck in the studio, and I was probably, you know, 5-6 nights a week on average in the studio. And so that was pretty cool too. But really now, going out and playing live is the best. It's so much fun. You know, people going, ah!
Live's always my favorite way to experience music, for sure. And a band like yours, you have that essence of the jam band experience,
Yeah.
you know, where everything flows. You guys naturally just kind of make your own way, and nothing's like, if one guy's off of a note, nothing like crazy happens, you guys
You
just have
you
a
repeat it,
flow.
call it jazz. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
It doesn't seem forced. It doesn't seem forced in a way, I guess, if that sounds weird.
No, I know what you mean, and the way we approach live playing live is that we have. I mean, we don't really lock it out like we write it down anymore. We just kind of know. Okay, in Spiral Galaxies, let's say our new single, where it goes into the E, where there's a solo, then everybody knows we just jam there until, you know, I kind of look at everybody and go towards the mic and they know, okay, here comes the next section. And I think I know the Grateful Dead did that all the time, using that kind of cue. You just watch the guy that's singing for that song. And so with this, and like I say, we've had a lot of people in the band. I think it's like 23 members now.
Wow.
In 6 years. Now, we're like a disease. Once you get it, you never leave, right? So all they have to do is show up and they're going to play that night. But in fact, we can have a full house with just band members.
So that was going to be my question. No, how many, with as many band members as you guys have had, how many of them are you guys like still on really good terms with, and how many what's the maximum number you've had of all members performing with you at one time?
Well, I can only think of one person out of the 23 where, you know, I don't really want to see him much anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah, but the most at once, I think, was 8 people. I'm kind of worried that one of these days everybody will show up at once on stage. But yeah, I mean, we're really good friends with everybody. It's not like you know, and people they come and go, and what's really cool is in San Francisco, you know, David lives in LA, so there's some gigs, usually not so much Revolution. So I have another band that we call No Country that plays, and I just use whoever is available at the time. And, you know, it's all either former Revolution members or friends of the band, things like that. And one thing I gotta say, that the San Francisco music community is one of the tightest and sort of most where all the musicians support each other, as opposed to Los Angeles, where we're always, you know, it's all competition, at least in the background. But yeah, I'm trying to think of, it's like just this one guy. And turned out to be such a redneck, but you know, he did sort of the unforgivable. He three gigs in a row, he was an hour or more late.
Oh shit.
Yeah, right. So in fact, it was really embarrassing that we played one place, and okay, it was a nudist colony we played. We played a lot of cool places, right?
Fun.
Yeah, it was the craziest thing. And you know, a lot of these people, you'd rather they just put their clothes back on. But we were like an hour and a half late for that first gig, and we said, hey, you know, we want to do it again. We'll play for free. And the second time we were 2 hours late because of him. That was the end. And then he just kind of turned on us when we told him we're not going to work with you anymore.
Oh my.
Wow.
Yeah.
But,
so don't be that guy, everybody. Don't be the one that makes the whole band late. Don't be the guy that messes up.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy. And it wasn't that, you know, if he would have been a great player, maybe, you know, give him some slack. But he was kind of a lame player, as well as, you know, we just had him in the band because we don't like firing people. But anyway, yeah, it's really been a trip. You know, we started the band, well, so a friend of mine who's also a member of the band on and off, I was with the machine I invented, I was working with his engineering company. And we got introduced because they said, hey, you guys will like each other. You're both guitar nuts. And we immediately connected over guitars. And it turned out that he owned a 24-track studio, a pretty good one, which, I don't really need a studio. I've got one, my own, but his studio manager was Aaron Connor, who's he's got like 56 gold records, I think.
Yep.
He's done, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Linda. The list goes on. He was just learned recently. He engineered sessions for Cher. But anyway, when he told me that, I was like, oh shit, that sounds so cool. And Bobby Killerby, his name is. He said, well, why don't you just use the studio? You just pay Aaron for his time. You can use the studio for free. I was like, you're on. And Aaron and I started recording. And then I started, basing my trips to Kansas City for business around when the studio was open. Like, it was more important. And all of a sudden we had about 20 songs. And there was, I think what made it the 5th or 6th session, I called up David and said, hey, meet me out in, Kansas City, and we'll track live drums. We'll do, some live tracks. And so he came out there, and I think, if I remember, we did 15 songs with the basic tracks in 2 days. I mean, David was really fast. And he and I worked together well. So then all of a sudden we had all these songs, and thought, hey, let's, and Bundles, our keyboard player, it was also my wife, she said, oh, I always wanted to do a music video, because she's an artist, right? She's a master painter with oil paintings and stuff. And she did the first video, and I was like, holy shit, that was really good. It's no fun when she's doing it because she's grouchy as hell the whole time. Yeah.
She's in the zone. You got to let her be.
I just, okay, I won't say anything. So then we had a video, and we put it out, and it started getting popular on YouTube. And then I forgot. A friend of mine who bought a house that I owned in Denver, just outside of Denver, Colorado, called me up and said, hey, why don't you bring your band out here? I'll set up some shows for you. And I think that was the time we had 8 people. It was our first gig. We had 2 keyboard players, 2 guitars, drums, bass, 2 singers, or backup singers. Anyway, we did that. There's first 2 shows in Denver, and this house that I had sold them, it was big, so the whole band stayed there. In 6 bedrooms. So then we thought, hey, this is kind of fun. Let's keep doing it. Well, after the first gig, it got back down to 5 people, and that was sort of permanent for a while. And then we did several sort of odd type, playing art shows and people's birthday parties. In fact, right now, one of the really fun things that has come up is we've been doing a lot of house parties. And those are really fun. Although we played one, and our bass player set it up, and we get to this sort of, not right downtown San Francisco, but house is fairly tight. And we go in there, and they moved over the couch, and we played in the living room. And I'm thinking, I said to this one guy, hey, whose house is this? And he goes, oh, it's what's his name's parents, but they're out of town. I'm like,
Oh my.
So there's about 100 kids jumping up and down, and lots of drunk underage teenage girls,
I think I've seen that movie once.
Oh yeah, I think I was a star in that movie.
Yeah. I was having a blast, and we played really well, and it was really tight. I remember I was like playing bass. I played bass that time, and I was playing bass, and I had to hold my bass up because the cymbal was like 2 inches from my head. And we got done, and everybody's cheering and doing another one. And luckily, I said, "Nah, that we should let the other band." There was, I think, 2 other bands, and I thought, I want to get my equipment out of here because when the cops come, I want to be able to ditch out the back pretty quick.
There you go. Escape plans.
Yeah. I took my amp and stuff and put it in the car, and I went back in. And as I'm going in to grab my guitar, I see the police pull up, and I'm like, "Oh Jesus, this ain't gonna go well." So I was hiding in the bushes, and when they weren't looking, I ditched out of there and left. But what a great party it was! And I think they just stopped them. I don't think they arrested anybody. But we've had quite a few gigs like that, or we've done some pretty big concerts too. We played at the Globe Theater just before the pandemic, and in Los Angeles, and that was really a big show. I think we sold out. I think the capacity is 1,250 or something. And then we did another benefit. God, I think there was like 4,000 people there. But what's funny? We do this farmers market, and there's 2,000 people there in a day that hear us. Like it's yeah, and it's the sort of an organization that puts it on, and they pay you $20 an hour for the whole band, right? So we're not getting rich doing it, but we put out tip jars and average like $300 in 2 hours in tips. So it's still ain't going to get rich that way, but it's just fun to do that. So yeah, that's kind of where we've been at lately, and we're slowly building up to. We're talking to an agency, TKO. In fact, I think they're from Cincinnati, somewhere in the Midwest, and they send out our stuff and there's a sheet that's out there for touring musicians, and it's who's out there playing and who needs backup bands or support bands or things like that. And we got back 104 responses. I couldn't believe it. How many people said, "Yeah, let's have them open for us." I mean,
wow.
Yeah, we almost took this tour with Social Distortion. It was 7 gigs on the West Coast, and I was so looking forward. But then David couldn't do that one. So, who was the other one? Oh, here's the interesting one. So they have these things now in the industry called buy-ons, where you can buy onto a tour and you pay to play. It's kind of like the clubs in Los Angeles where you have to sell $750 worth of tickets to be on them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy in the pay-to-play aspect.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose if a band,
Circumstances.
I remember playing with Devo, and we would sell a show of maybe 1,000-person theater, and make $150 a night a piece. So I suppose I understand, if people say are on the edge, that they sort of need that money. But what I want to tell you about is Billie Eilish's people were on the list, right? Of people who said, "Yeah, call us, we'll have you." You can. It was a buy-on, but I'm thinking Billie Eilish. I mean, I really like her. I like her music, but I'm thinking if we play for her and open up for her, what we're going to be playing for is about 1,500 12-year-olds and their parents, right? They're the ones that get there early.
It's no exposure, though, right?
Well, but they aren't going to like us. who the fuck are these old people? You know.
I don't know. You got the music that you.
I don't know. Like I was checking out the music and I love the Spiral Galaxies. Like I love that, and I was checking out some of the other stuff you guys have out. Like the other one that I really think like the way kids are today, I think Little Red Dolls would be cool. It would hit on a certain age or demographic. I feel like each one of you guys' songs hits on or touches on, it doesn't dive into, but I feel like it touches on so many different demographics that you guys can't be denied. Like nothing can stop you,
I agree.
You can't stop us. That's the line in Electric.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what I want to bring up here soon too. Yes. But yeah, your music is very relative to people, and people can relate to it and understand it and feel the music at the same time. So not only just lyrics, but the music itself is it's going to touch people's souls because you have that, I don't know, the way you play together, so smooth, so fluent.
Scott Page from the sax player from Pink Floyd did the solo on that. Yeah, it was so fun because I knew him back in the day when he first got on the tour. And it was kind of funny because I was in Los Angeles at the time. And you know how I said it's sort of competitive there. So we're all going, they should have picked us. But on the other hand, we're like, yeah, Scott. All right, that's so cool. But so when we reconnected, I said, hey, would you do a solo on this thing? And he said, yeah. And a friend of ours said, well, come and do it at my studio. And I have my own microphones as long as they're using Pro Tools. I don't, I can record anywhere. The mixing and mastering is one a different thing. Needs equipment. But anyway, Scott comes in there and it's like in the valley, in LA, and it's 105 or something. And he did, I think, 32 takes. He kept saying, let me do it again. And put me on another track. I think we had like 100 tracks of him, one song by the time we got done with the session, and ended up using the first one, right? But he was such a pro. He was so into it. At one point, he stopped playing, and I grabbed him because I thought he was going to faint, and sweat's pouring off him. I was like, "It's good, we got it." No, let me do another one. But I don't know. I guess maybe I'm a little cynical about business. To me, it seems like you have to create a tribe, to get a big following. And I don't.
Yeah.
Brotherhood.
Yeah, I don't know that we have a tribe yet. Maybe. But anyway, yeah. So get this: to play with Billie Eilish for one night in Sacramento would have cost us $300,000.
Oh my! Wow!
All right.
I am blown away with that number.
There's no.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I mean. If you're someone who fits her demographic really well, then playing for those 12-year-olds and their parents is probably not a bad idea. Even though when you open, usually if you're lucky, if you get 25% of the people there for the opening. And I think it was, so maybe we would have had 5,000 parents.
man.
Anyway, good for you, Billy, getting extra money. David says, "Oh, that's bullshit. Why does she do that?" Because we know a lot of artists that when they like a band, they'll bring you on and cover it.
Yeah. I think that the cool thing about it is that it gives them opportunities. But man, 300,000.
I could buy a nice California for that.
Right, yeah. I mean, you could buy a nice band crib for that. Like,
Right. There's our tour bus.
right, exactly. No, like the whole thing, like today, blows my mind with music because when you look back at, like music's always changed and it's always been a different kind of thing, but like today's music is just to me so far away from the word music. Like today I feel like one line, it could be only 4 or 6 words, and you get $1 million, and that's a hit record because it did it like 12 times. I'm like,
Yeah, and they recorded in their bedroom,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like I grew up, like I'm an '80s kid, so I remember, growing up like recording in basements and doing reel to reel and trying to put stuff together. Like I remember that. But I just feel like the younger people these days don't respect the grind, I guess.
Yeah, do you know Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters put out a movie called What Drives Us? That was it. What Drives Us? Really good. Yeah, check it out. But it's about they're talking about bands doing tours in a van, like we're gonna do.
Hmm.
And it was amazing how many people, big stars, talked about touring in bands. But the one that blew me away was it was Paul McCartney talking about how the Beatles had a van back in the day, and it was a real shitty van. And they said they would take turns driving, and the equipment was in the back, and they could sort of, and it didn't have a heater, so he said that was the closest we ever got. So they'd snuggle together to keep warm. But he said one time they were coming home, and the windshield blew out of the van. He had to drive the last 20 miles without a windshield in a snowstorm.
Oh,
That's
damn.
got to be brutal.
Man, next time I complain about not having my coffee right or something like that when it comes to some kind of thing, I'm going to remember that and be like, you know what? I have no right to bitch.
Yeah, that happened to the Beatles, right? So,
Man.
but I really think that I think that's kind of one of the reasons we can play well together and like you said, jam and stuff is because we played, or at least David and I have played a lot for the years together.
No, you mentioned your wife plays in the band as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that dynamic? I know a lot of husbands and wives and girlfriend and boyfriends that play together and stuff like that, but I always hear something unique and different from each couple that I speak to that works in the music together. So I'm just curious how that dynamic folds into Revolution.
Well, I think it maybe bothers the other guys more than us because we're used to arguing and still being in love. But yeah, I really like being around her. I didn't, get married to go not be around her for the rest of my life and tour alone. So it's really nice that she likes that. What happened was when we first got married, she mentioned that she knew how to play piano and that she had taken 7 years of study. She had graduated in Russia. She's Russian, right? So she had a degree as a concert pianist, and but she hated it because her parents made her practice 2 hours every day when everybody was out playing. So she really didn't like it. It's good, but just didn't like it. And she would do stuff like she had a tape recorder, and she would practice a couple of songs on the tape recorder and then just play the tape recorder real loud and close the door and tell them, leave me alone, I can't practice with you coming in here. So books and stuff, and the tape recorder would be gone. And she got busted. But so she told me that, and I was like, yeah, I can play from a lot of people. Anyway, 6 years ago, once I started doing this, I was doing the keyboard parts on the songs, and I wanted to have. I have several actually really nice electronic keyboards, but I didn't have an acoustic piano. And I saw one on the side of the road at a garage sale, and just for the hell of it, stopped and played a couple notes, and it sounded great, and it was even in tune. So I said, I'll take it. It was $100. Bought this thing, brought it home, and I stuck it in the living room till I could find a place to put it. And I come in the door that evening, and I hear these scales. Jesus, you didn't tell me you could play like that. And by the third day, she's doing one hand ascending, one hand descending. I mean, it was amazing. I was like, okay, you're in the band. I'm drafting you. And
wow.
Yeah, that's how she ended up in the band. So now, it is kind of tough because she hates rehearsing, and we don't. The rest of it, I mean, I don't want to say that. She doesn't hate it. She hates the idea of rehearsing. When we actually get there and start playing, she's jamming out. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And she doesn't write music at all. She writes books, does paintings, So,
Yeah. She's got a very deep side to her.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and I think that goes hand in hand with being a beautiful pianist. It's just such a beautiful craft, and I don't have a talented musician bone in my body. The best thing I can do is throw some headphones on and find some awesome music to jam out to from 50s, 60s, 70s, kind of stuff. But man, that's incredible that you guys have that dynamic in the band. And I think it's even more awesome that the whole band has that unique grab. You're not a one-off. And I think that's what makes it so impactful when you say you can't stop us, because you're not a one-off. You're not just this band, and you're not just a group of people that get together on Sunday and hang out, have some beers.
I agree for sure. Sorry guys, I'm back. I lost internet because my internet's crazy today.
I've been hoping I don't.
I forgot to knock on that wood.
I'm at this is my company here. I'm at the office, and we've switched providers about, I guess it's a month ago, and now we don't have so many problems. But it was really annoying when I tried to do interviews, and every 5 minutes it goes out and comes back. But I think we've got that down. No, I know what you mean.
I want to circle back to something that you mentioned earlier in the show, to being an inventor, and I want to know a little bit about that side of you.
Well, when I wasn't in band, I had this sort of a history of going 10 years on and 5 or 6 years off in music, where I went from, it's funny that we were just talking about this the other day. When was your first band? So my first band was at 11. And then I played straight through high school. And then as soon as even before I got out of high school, I was making a living as a musician. And I went till, I think I was 24 or something, and the band I was with broke up, and I was like, screw this, this life. And I took about 4 years off and then started playing again with a passion. I'm really serious. And then I remember I was living in Hollywood and playing a lot. You know, I was doing a lot of studio work back when they had studios in LA, and I worked with Devo for a while and kind of got discouraged because they were a typical Hollywood band at the time. You know, not as individuals, or as individuals I get along with them really good, but as a band it was sort of screwed. And then I went through I signed I went with what they call development deals, you know, where they give you money, you do 4 or 5 songs. And so I went through 2 of those in 1 year, and they didn't pick it up. And then the third one, I actually got signed to the record company. They gave me the money to do the album, got the album done, and the record company went bankrupt. And like,
Damn.
Yeah, right? So I
Wow.
and I had this girlfriend at the time that said, I want to move to Denver, get out of California, you know. And I went with her because I know how to design houses and stuff. So, there I started, well, I was out of it for about 4 years or so. And then I started playing again with a local blues band, and then started really getting into it again. And so I always go back and forth, but in between. So when I was in Denver, I've always had this thing where when I needed something, I build it. Or I remember my mother telling me about this more than I actually remember it. But I think I was 4 or 5 years old, and the clock in the kitchen stopped working. And while they weren't there, I climbed up on the sink, got the clock down, took the whole thing apart, and fixed it. Put it, you know, and they came back while I was putting it back together and yelled at me, "What are you doing, goddamn it?" Well, then it worked. So then they started, you know, buying me toys, Legos and stuff to put together. So I think I've always had that in me. But anyway, when I was in Denver, what happened was I had this wacky girlfriend who one day called me up and said, "Hey, let's go to the Mars Society conference." And I was like, "What the hell is that?" And so the Mars Society is a group of enthusiasts and scientists, a lot of NASA people. And we went, and Zubrin, the guy who's the president and runs the thing, I heard him doing a talk, and I really liked him because they were talking about colonizing Mars, and this was sort of a town hall group thing. And this woman gets up and says, "How dare you go to Mars? There, you know, we all know there's not life on the surface. But she said, there could be microbes there, and you're just going to go there and kill the microbes. How dare you?" And Zubrin says, "Hey, lady, did you ever use mouthwash? You know how many million microbes you just killed?" Oh, that's kind of funny. And so I put my name in it. They asked for volunteers for the Mars Arctic Research Station to help build it and design it. And because I was I was designing nightclubs at the time, in between playing in bands.
Wow.
And so I had the setup to do drafting. And they called me up one day and said, "Hey, would you come and help us? We're having a meeting." And so I went there, and oh God, it was so unorganized. You know, I'm used to knowing how construction gets done and stuff. So, and they had a space architect, right? This guy, his whole claim to fame really was that his specialty was hospital doorknobs, right? You wouldn't think there's a guy that does just that, but he was one. And so I took him aside after the meeting, and I said, "You know what, because they're volunteers, like they're talking about building something in the Arctic," and he's saying, "Well, you know, we need people to donate hammers and saws. We'll need a saw for sure, and tape measure." And I took him aside and said, "Look, dude, I'll bring my company in here and we'll build it out for you. But please don't bring any volunteers because my guys are pros and they'll get mad. People get in their way. And so that's how I got into the Mars stuff. And what happened was they built it and sent it up to the Arctic. And I was just, sort of a volunteer that had pitched in at the time. And Zubrin, the head guy, calls me up and said, well, would you go up there and show them how to put together that interior? Because we built it in modular pieces so you could fly it into this island.
Yep.
And so I said, yeah, sure. I mean, how often do you get to go into a protected area in the Arctic that nobody's been to before? And I get up there and the weather turned bad and I was stuck in this hotel room for 11 days. Right? Nothing to do, watch TV and eat. Because there's only 2 hotels in this village that we were at and there's no restaurants. So the hotels serve food. They have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But the kitchen's open. You can always go in there and, snack. So I gained like 10 pounds in 11 days. So I know, just vegging out, thinking, the hell with this, I'm going to leave. And on the 11th day, they said, okay, we can finally get a plane in there. And I got on the plane and went out to the island. And the first thing the head of the NASA aide comes up and says, what the hell are you doing here? I was like, well, I came to help. And he goes, well, I didn't authorize this. And I was like, okay, see you later. I'm out of here. Well, then when I got back to the hotel, they said, no, don't leave. Please come and help us. We got to figure out how to. Oh, in the meantime, what happened was the C-130s are paradropping these parts into the island, right? Because it's 140 miles from the nearest town, and the nearest town is 1,500 miles from the next town. That's even a Yellowknife, Canada is the closest town, and that's only about 2,000 people. So this is way the hell up there. And they had, on the last paradrop that had the floors for this thing and the crane they were going to use to put it up, the Marines were doing these paradrops for us as practice, right? And so they had some guy on there that had never done this.
Oh, no.
Right? And there's a drone chute that's like a ball, and they throw that out the back, and the drone chute opens up, and it pulls this big chute out, right? Well, this kid had accidentally hooked the drone chute up to the payload, right? So the payload, the drone chute comes out, and all of a sudden the whole payload starts going out without the parachute.
Oh, no.
And it comes, crashed, and then they, everybody, this original construction crew, which was mostly computer engineers that volunteered that wanted to see the Arctic, and they were freezing their ass off. They left, and that's when they called me up and said, hey, you got to stick around. We have to have this built, because they had made a deal with Discovery, and Discovery had given them $1 million or something like that to be able to film the first season. Inside the hab, that was the stipulation. So they had to be built. And so I told them, get rid of all the volunteers, it was summer, so all the local teenage boys were, actually there was 2 girls came out there too. I remember. They were, yeah, those 2, they were cool. Anyway, all these Eskimo kids came out there. So it was me, and I brought in 1 construction guy that I knew from Denver and 11 high schoolers, and we built the thing and got it up. And, and then everybody, oh my God, we saved it. And
wow.
Back their $1 million. Yeah, so and then because of that, the biggest problem with long space flight is water, right? You can't send 25 tons of water to Mars. And so I worked with another guy, God, this guy's brilliant, but we came up with an RO system that could process, all the water and recycle it. And then when we built the second hab, of course, once I don't want to say saved the day, but I made it possible so they were able to get the thing done and they didn't have to give back $1 million. So then all of a sudden, well, they hired me and said, let's do another one. And so the second one we did in the Mars, it's called the Mars Desert Research Station. And that one's actually, I just saw the crews are there now. And so what the deal is, they're in Mars analogs, and they send astronauts there and they practice living on Mars inside this habitat that's the same size as the one.
Isn't that's in Hanksville, Utah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a trip. And so after that, I started focusing on water because I realized that's kind of a big problem, especially in California. And I almost hate to say I invented this thing, because if I would have known what I was doing when I started, I would have never done it.
What?
I mean, yeah, if I knew anything about that technology, the boiler system that I invented, I wouldn't have done it, because I built it in my garage. Just lucky I didn't blow the place up. But yeah, it was really funny. I had the neighbors call the police once, and they show up because there's steam coming out of the garage, and they said, hey, either it's a high-tech barbecue or a meth lab. Anyway, I finally got it to work, and then I got a pretty big job right out of the box. I'd never built one of these before, and someone heard about it. A big olive factory, actually. And it was typical of the water situation in California. When they hired me to build this thing, they didn't want it to work, right? Because they just wanted to, they were being fined $5 million by the state water board, and they had been paying them about $1 million a year for their attorney to keep them working in business. And so the attorney was pissed off at me, but they didn't really want it to work. They wanted to get by another 3 years, and then they were just going to sell the business. Right? So when it started working, they're like, oh, shit. So from the time that we started the contract, it took a year to finalize the contract. And I was getting mad at them because I was charging them $15,000 a month, which is, that's some decent change. But they were dragging on and on. So then I started charging about $15,000 worth of parts to them every month and building new parts of the invention. So anyway, that's how that thing came about. And then once it started working, I just, I got good at it. And now this is a $32 million project. And I'm building it for the city of Tracy. Because they have a wastewater problem, not black water, but from factories that put the water's too salty when they put it into the sewer. And then the city was, at the time the city hired me, they were getting fined $35,000 a day for being over the salinity limits. So
A day? Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
Have you thought about jumping in on the Flint water crisis at all? The Flint, Michigan water crisis at all?
Yeah, it'd be so easy to solve because lead and minerals are super easy to get out for us. Now we could do it very easily, and we use heat to do it. And God, the state would love us if we would go and cut down all the dead trees or cut up all the dead trees in the forests there in Michigan. Clean them.
Yeah.
It's political. That's why I didn't. Once something becomes big like that, I don't want to have anything to do with it because now I'm fighting Siemens and GE, and I've had reps from GE throw me under the bus, and I was so proud. I thought, God, I'm one guy, one goof with a machine, and I got GE, worried about it. But it's. So the thing about water problems, generally, two things you can say is they're super complicated, and it's a vicious business. I mean, they've killed people in the past probably still do for, over water issues.
Yeah.
Probably going to get worse with global warming. So,
Man, no. Wow. I can't believe like we hung out and just talked about everything from music to inventions and stuff. I hope we covered good stuff because man, it was awesome just hanging out talking to you.
well, it's great talking to you guys too. It's really fun.
I do have a commenter that left a question here from our live stream here. So I'm going to ask that for you. Being that you are a protest rock band, what inspires you to write lyrics for all of us underdogs? And that came from Kirk.
Been there like forever. I kind of feel like I must have invented the damn phrase. But it's like, there was that Harvard study that said a person with no money has 0.0000.1% of affecting policy, and a person with unlimited money has a 98% chance of affecting policy.
Yeah.
Right? So the only way that person with 4 zeros define their their percentage number, the only way they can have a voice is to have 4,000 times more people. And I just thought music would be, if I can just touch a couple of people and raise their awareness of, I don't even know. Like I said, I don't like to talk politics too much because it's just so screwed up. In the song "You Can't Stop Us," there's the chorus says, "You can't stop us because we're defective," right? And my wife says, "What do you mean you're defective?" And I said, "Because you can't stop something you don't know, and to the powers that be, we're defective, right? So it's hard to figure out what we really want." And then the next line is, "You can't stop us because we're the masses." Right? There's so many of us. If everybody could get on the same page, and assuming it was a page of goodwill, let's say, of making battleships and crap, you wouldn't be able to stop us. So I still have faith. I'm cynical, there's things happening in this country that seem so fucked up that I think, who is doing this? Who can think this way? But what are you going to do? I mean, I'm sure they think exactly the same thing about me. Like, he's defective. I just think that, really in America, with the, sort of this conservative, redneck, suppressive politics, I don't think that's the majority of Americans or people in the world, let's say, I think it's just like it's that 0.1 percenters. And it's funny because, like I know Elon Musk. It's really weird for me that I can say this, but I know on my phone, I've got 3 billionaires' phone numbers that know who I am. And like, say with Elon, being the richest guy in the world, I think a lot of people think that he's just puts all his money in his mattress or something, like he's got a super big wallet or whatever.
No, yeah, he stands for things for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not, he doesn't have the money in his bank account. He owns a lot of stock in companies that he made successful. And the reason that he's a billionaire isn't because of the amount of cash he's got. He could probably raise a hell of a lot.
How you invest and where you put your money.
Yeah, right. Think about it. If you had $10 million right now, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to buy a new car. Well, you can buy 5 cars. What after that? well, I'm going to buy a new house. Well, those are investments, right? That other people, you
Appreciate.
give, yeah, you're giving the money to other people, and you have these things. I know Elon. He's not a big thing person, but and my partner, the guy that's the partner on my business now, he rides a bicycle around Boston all the time. And he's actually, well, yeah, I think he's richer than Elon. If I look at all his assets, he's richer than Elon. And I asked one of his lawyers once that I said, well, how does, I know when I look at what Gerald owns, and then I look at what it says he's worth in Forbes, it doesn't match up. How come it only says he's worth $3 billion Forbes? And he goes, well, Gerald, he doesn't like to let people know. And plus he owns Forbes. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So he can put anything he wants.
Yeah. Who's counting?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, man.
so I really hate to wrap up our conversation because it's really great. And I love the direction that we took with it. But two things. One, my internet's spotty and I keep dropping out. And two, it is the end of the show time-wise. And I'm not father time. I can't make it expand any longer. So I want to ask you one more question. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Yeah, they can't stop you. If you want to do something, just do it. And I guess just try to be happy. I know that sounds stupid to somebody, who's in the ghetto or having a real rough time right now. But think forward. Think forward and be positive about the future, even if your present kind of sucks. Because, I just totaled my car last night, so I have good reason to be bummed out. But fuck it, what are you going to do?
Are
It's
you
just
serious right now?
Yeah.
Oh goodness, man.
Yeah, I head on too.
Oh man, I'm glad you're okay. I don't see any band-aids or cuts or bruises, so I'm really glad you're okay. Wow.
I got my face squished into the airbag, but I gotta say that the airbags did the trick. The both cars are total, and the lady in the other car, she had her daughter with. Oh God, that's the worst thing about driving to me is to ever cause someone pain. Her daughter was fine, and I guess she cracked her ankle or something like that. But yeah, both of us, we hit head on at about 40 miles an hour, and all of us, except for her, she didn't walk away, but and I was freaking out. I'm trying to, her door was stuck, and I'm yanking on the door to get her out because I thought, what if the car catches on fire?
Wow. Well, that's definitely heroic. Most people panic and they don't do anything. So for you,
Sure.
it's admirable.
I think most people would help. I don't know.
It's flight or what is it? Fight or flight?
Fight or
Yeah, fight, flight, or grab your camera these days.
Oh,
Yeah.
grab your camera.
Yeah, hit me with that.
Right. So thank you, so much for your time, man. Happy holidays to you and yours as well.
You guys too. This was really fun. I really enjoyed talking to you guys.
So
we would love to have you back, man. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Absolutely. I've been flashing up all of your websites on the screen. So revolushn.com, and that's REVOLUSHN.com. They're spelled different because as you see, I also have scrolling. We stand for the underdogs, the outsiders, the freedom of thoughts, and the freaks that don't fit in. You can't stop us. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you. Make sure you guys tune in next week for RO. So got a great show lined up next week, and we have some Christmas ideas in store.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff lined up for you guys, man, and we'll be bringing that to you next week.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, No.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Glad you're safe and have a good one, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Okay, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye, everybody.
Bye.